Okay, this is where we start with the 3/8 carriage bolts. Insert them through the side panel and into the leg. Add the 3/8 caps nut to it, just hand tighten it only. It always helps to have somebody here to help hold the other end of the truss on the other end. Again, add the 3/8 caps nuts, hand tighten only, and carry on for the other side. Always having somebody at the other end to hold up the truss always helps lining the holes. You may have to wiggle the leg around to get the carriage bolt through. Sometimes they're misaligned a little bit. And carry on, do the same step for the other 3 legs. This is what it should look like when you're finished, with the tightening knobs pointing inward to the center of the dock. Now it's time to add the horizontal cross brace. Lay the cross brace down, place the 1/4" bolts through, pointing downward. Add the caps nuts, hand tighten only, and repeat this for all 4 sides of the dock. Now it's time to tighten all the fasteners, starting with the legs. Do not over tighten. A 9/16 deep socket is usually the best tool for this job. Now we can tighten up the 1/4" bolts with a 7/16 deep socket. That works well for this application. Now it's time to add the wood joists to the dock. When aligning the joists, just tilt the joist slightly and slide it into place and align with the holes that are in the top and bottom of the truss. Once in place, you can add your screw, and you can draw the board all the way up until it touches the aluminum on the top side. And then on the bottom side, there may be a gap there, so what I've made here is a 1/2" piece of plywood just to fill the gap, due to the lumber being odd sizes. Every mill makes the lumber a different size. So we've just filled the gap there with a 1/2" piece of plywood. And then just screw it right through both pieces. And this will be secure. When your dock's complete, the 8x8 docks require 2 joists, and the 4x8 docks only need 1 joist on the center. This is how your dock should look prior to putting it in the water. This is the bumper that we add to the dock. The bottom edge is longer than the top edge, so that before you put the bumper onto the dock, you put the long edge down and then match up the T with the slot on the dock and slide it on. If you find it difficult to slide the bumper on the dock, adding Vaseline always helps. It lubricates the whole channel and allows the bumper to flow freely right to the end of the dock. Now that the bumper is flush with the ends of the extrusion, you can pinch the ends of the aluminum so that it holds the bumper in place. Now it's time to add the chain retainer. Simply add the chain retainer to the leg bolts that are there already. Add the caps nuts over top. So where the chain retainer is, you'll have actually 4 nuts rather than just 2. It's always good to place the chain retainer in the direction of the chain so that when the chain has tension on it, it doesn't bend the chain retainer away from the leg. It just pulls with the leg. And simply tighten the 3/8 caps nuts with the socket. When adding the chain to the chain retainer, simply insert it through the hole and let it drop down into the slot, and this will hold it in place. Now, when adding another dock to an existing dock, you take one leg and turn it 45 degrees to make room for the second leg. Simply take off the foot of the second dock, remove it, and then you can place that dock leg on top of the existing foot. Then the docks can be linked together. and they will fit tight together. To add the links, use the existing bolts used for the horizontal braces. Again, the nuts will be already there, and you can add nuts right on top of the link plates. Simply tighten with a socket. To show this view better, we've done it on shore so you can see it closer. Simply add the links, add the 1/4-inch Keps nuts, and tighten down with the socket. This is how your dock should look assembled together. Instead of using a level for setting up your dock in the water, it's easier to mark the legs at a certain distance down from the truss. This mark will allow you to level the dock much easier in the water. When marking the legs, use the lower end of the truss and measure down 6 inches from there. Now it's time to bring the dock into the water. You can simply drag the dock into the water, or with a friend you can carry it in. The dock is very light at this point. Bring it into the desired depth. And now it's time to level the dock. And loosen the knobs off on the legs. And drop the legs down until the water level is at the mark that you've preset. You can just go around and repeat for all 4 legs. It is advisable to do this when the water is calm. Once the legs are in position and leveled, make sure that all the knobs are tightened. Do not over tighten. Now it's time to add the pre-cut decking boards. Pre-cut your boards to 47 3/4 inches long. This makes the boards nice and easy to slide along in the channel. It may take some wiggling to get the boards through, but once in place, the first board and the last board get screwed down to hold everything in place. It is important to take care that when you're buying your lumber, to make sure that the board is 1.5 inches thick or under. Sometimes the boards are thicker than 1.5 inches. Try to avoid this because it'll make the boards too tight in the channel. Now it's time to fasten the first board down so the other boards can push up against it, tight together. When you get to the end board, you'll have to rip the board to suit the end of the dock due to the different widths of boards. The crown of the wood should always be pointing up. This prevents the wood from cupping and creating tripping spots along your dock. Now, when adding the hinge to the dock, simply use the 3/8 carriage bolts, put them through the hinge side and into the triangular plate on the back. Triangular backing plate will cup around the triangular openings of the trusses. Once all the bolts are hand tightened, you can simply tighten down with a socket. The socket used for this is also a 9/16 socket. If you find that you need longer legs, you can simply buy tubing from a hardware store. It's 2-inch galvanized tubing, and most hardware stores carry this. This is how your dock should look